Hey guys, James here again. This is gonna be what if Garp was a pirate. Now I'll be referring to Romance Dawn. I'll be referring to a lot of tryouts as Romance Dawn characters, honestly. But this would be my take on Romance Dawn if it were to go on. I'll be giving some of the original abilities, but not the original names or some of the original things. If you guys don't know, well, it's some of the original designs. Romance Dawn basically Garp was supposed to be a pirate. I don't know how Roger was gonna be portrayed, but I can see Garp is Roger's rival the whole time. I was I'm gonna find this legendary treasure. I was like, no, I'm gonna find it first. And then Roger found it first, became the king of pirates by Garp being Garp's someone on the level of Whitebeard, just not sick. So yeah, so that's kind of how I would have viewed Garp. It's just that that Roger beat him, so it's like him and Whitebeard being sitting close in the same scale. So yeah. But we move on to probably just the other characters, how they'd be. Well, Sanji, if I want to give him the original design, Sanji who would know how to use guns. But Sanji ends up basically being a marksman as well. I forgot about Usopp's original design. Let me find that real quick. Yeah, I'll be using some the original ideas for Usopp. Usopp, I like some of the original design where he's supposed to be the vice captain, so Usopp's supposed to be the vice captain. Zoro would be found on Buggy's crew first, not at Shelltown. Then Nami end up being a melee fighter with just a variety of knives and the axe. Axe being her preferred thing. Then, well, the stuff's still gonna be the same thing. It's just he's not as cowardly, but he's been too nervous to sail a boat. It's the biggest thing. He's too nervous to be on a boat. It's his only thing. I want to be a pirate, but I'm afraid of boats, and it's gonna be his whole thing for my Usopp version of this. All right, sure, we'll find out as we go on. All right, so we move on to roughly just Garp. Garp ended up retiring from being a pirate when he around a month after, not a month, probably when Luffy was born, around that time actually. So after Garp had retired from being a pirate, he would basically find Ace. Then he'd find he's basically raising Ace just to just to respect Roger, so to say. But this time, Garp knows how to contact Whitebeard and told Whitebeard about Ace being born. Talked to Whitebeard, but Whitebeard says if Ace were to come near his crew, he's willing to actually treat him as an ally, not anything other than that. He actually tells his whole crew this. Well, not all of them, not all of them, because not all of them will listen to him, but a few, they would, but some of them are kind of doing other things. Ones that hear basically every captain of every division. They all hear that Roger's son is around, and a few allied crews hear about Roger's son being around. So yeah. Now, Squid is pretty pissed off at this, but Whitebeard does say that he does know a lot of them may have actually grudges against Roger. He promises that the kid will be very different. Alright, so we move on to just when Luffy would meet Ace and Sabo. Oh, not Ace, when we meet Shanks. When he Shanks, Luffy walks in the bar with Garp. And Fushi goes is actually relatively peaceful, and everyone Garp has the same reputation as Rayleigh, just a bit more fearsome. The Marine's go spot on these islands. And Goku's what do you want us to do? Leave him man the hell alone. We can't stop him. You can stop him if you know every single Marine we have. But then again, the Marines wouldn't exist. What do you want us to do? Put the Marines out of business for no reason? Leave him man alone. He hasn't got trouble in 10, 20 years? So yeah, Sengoku's a whole don't attack Roger. Unless you want to be put out of a job and out of life. So choose one of the two, or choose both. Who cares? But yeah, so that's kind of how Garp's reputation is. Garp will walk into the bar with Luffy on his shoulders, and Ace happened to be hanging onto his other arm, and then Sabo happened to be hanging off the other arm as well. Luffy's on his back, then Ace Sabo hanging off his arms. But Garp yelled, all three of you, get off me! And they jump off. Only Shanks just turned around in shock that he heard that booming voice that he once heard before. It was a long time ago, and it was a lot more full of youth than an old man. Shanks said, Garp. Only room for Garp to start. Shanks for a bit say, Red Hair, is that you? As he was concerned with Shanks and not Choco, but kind of just headlock me and it's just rubbing his head. The whole crew would ask basically that's the Monkey D. Garp, the one who was supposedly the biggest rival of Roger ever. Shanks says, I wouldn't say rival, probably the only one person who could probably beat him in a fight head on. Garp then yells, "It's not probably. I have beaten him and beaten him one-on-one." And he says, "Yeah, but the next time he beats you." Garp says, "Fair enough." Garp ends up pulling out a small sheet of his pocket that looks pretty worn down. He says, "Hey, you're right. We're kind of even on fights and draws. I've lost this money, he's lost the same amount. I've won this money, he's won the same amount. We're kind of even. Either way, Roberta, what are you doing here?" Shanks says, "We're stopping by after raiding a marine ship." Garp drops, saying, "You brought the Marines to my village?" Shanks then yells, "No, it wasn't like that. They don't know where we went. Their ship sank." Garp's like, "Oh, no worries then." He sits down and starts talking to Shanks. And Luffy realizes he's getting ignored because grown-ups talking. He had grabbed the fruit that was on the chest, and before he started looking tell Luffy don't not eat it, it looks weird, he ate the whole thing and then swallowed it whole. Ace yelled, "Luffy, why are you eating that random fruit?" Now, halfway through, Shanks mentioned the Gomu Gomu no Mi, but they heard Ace yell, "Why'd you eat that random fruit?" and their jaws just dropped as they've been shaking. Shanks, nervous, Garp in fury. Garp says something in Kodo Haki, suddenly Luffy's punched right in the face, through the wall. Garp yells, "Did you eat that fruit?" Garp opens the chest and crushes it to dust, basically. It looks at Shanks saying, "Why wasn't it locked?" Shanks points like Hiru's thing. Ask him, not me. Turning around, just sweating. Like you're doing, says, I didn't do anything wrong. It's an accident. Before Lucky can give a proper answer, he's punched in the face by Garp over and over again, and Luffy ends up getting up with his face kind of being pushed in. So yeah. So with this, Luffy ends up walking in, questioning what was wrong with the fruit, so Garp ends up grabbing Luffy by the neck and then stretching him, saying, "This is what's wrong. This is what's wrong." And Luffy been screaming that he thought Garp tore his head off, so his neck is still attached. Garp ends dropping Luffy, telling Luffy, find a way to get his neck back to normal. Garp just face palms, telling Shanks he has 3 days to leave the island, or else he's going to beat him half to death. Shanks immediately left. He left around a day or two later, but they give Luffy the straw hat, as he actually did talk to Luffy for a bit during those few hours before he left, and Luffy and him got along pretty well. Yeah. So he gave Luffy the straw hat, then left. Because Garp kind of actually wanted to give the straw hat to Roger, because Roger had told him and Whitebeard that he was sick. So Roger actually give the straw hat to Roger, telling him it's a keepsake, and then find something to return it to him one day. So as Roger he left Shanks on the island, Shanks and Buggy on the island. He basically gave the hat to Shanks, telling Shanks return to Garp someday. Shanks couldn't find Garp anytime after that, and Garp actually was at the execution of Roger, but he's kind of watching it from a nearby building. But one key difference is there's a baby in his arm. So when he met the Marines, he actually said he actually made up a lie saying he's conquering the whole South Blue, and then beat down every single Marine in his path, and then let Rouge give birth early, and not early, but let Rouge give birth, and then he took Ace with him to the execution of Roger. So yeah, the Marines kind of avoided the South Blue for the whole time that Ace was supposed to be born, but then by the time that Roger says he gives up, they went to find it again, realizing that no one's pregnant. But yeah, this is the key difference, that Ace was born a bit earlier, I believe. He'd be born earlier. This means he'd be 24 post time skip, not 23. Not 23. I mean, not 22. So he's around 2 years older or so. So yeah, with this, basically, Luffy would just go and, Garp kind of brought Ace execution to Roger, but wasn't really so much of a keen thing. So yeah, so we move on after this to roughly around the time that Luffy is back to when Shanks is leaving. Luffy's trying, and Garp was okay with this. He didn't mind it at all. But Luffy, before he left, said that he vowed that Shanks told him to bring the hat back to him one day. He ended up pulling out a small pocket knife he had and cut his eye, yelling, "This is his vow to bring the hat back to Shanks." Shanks couldn't help, but actually will pull out his griffin, put the blade towards his eye, and actually will kind of just make it. Well, this one he has 2 lines on his face. He made the 3rd line by saying this is his vow. He ended up crying before Shanks was basically out of earshot. He answered me in pain, saying, "Get me a bandage." So yeah, thing is, Shanks hurt him. So yeah. Pause real quick. All right, so yeah, Luffy goes, "Give me a bandage or stitch or something," for his bigger brother Ace to run and pick him up, and then bring him to Garp, who just stitches his eye back up. But initially, Luffy had yelled he wants to be the new Pirate King, just to show that he can be strong enough to head back to Shanks. Luffy's aware like the Pirate King and everything. I remember chuckling, saying, "If you want to be Pirate King, you're gonna have to go through me one day." Made Luffy a bit nervous, but then says he's prepared to do it. Ace ends up sighing, saying, "I guess me too." So with Ace being around 2 years older, he would be 2 years older. So instead of being 10, he's roughly around 12. Ace then says he's ready. He's ready to help Luffy, and Sabo says he's ready too. So yeah, now there's just one big difference in this. This one, Dragon is more of a marine. The fact that Garp happened to be on the sea a lot and not being a good father to Dragon because he's always on the sea. So yeah, so Dragon kind of became a pirate. Not pirate, I mean a marine. Kind of just stopped pirates just because he doesn't have good memories of his dad being gone so much. So yeah, like. It's not like that. It's not like he's mad at Garp or anything, but he doesn't want other kids to go through what he went through. So yeah, if there's really certain pirates he lets go, but that's really it. So with how old Dragon is, like how old is he? He's 51, not 51, 55 I think, 53 I forgot. Check. Okay, so Dragon is 55, same age as Akainu. So yeah, so. Basically, Dragon would be called the hero of the Marines to the fact that when it came to Ohara, he actually fought Aki Inu and beat him. Actually for like sinking that Marine boat. Like everyone watched Dragon beat Aki Inu, and basically when it happened there, well, basically called like not Aki Inu, called Akiji over to actually like say like Dragon turned rogue. He came over and just got beaten up too. So no one actually considers Dragon and Admiral despite being the 4th Admiral, or considered the 4th Admiral despite only having a position of like a Vice Captain. Not Vice Captain, I mean Vice Commander. Or Vice Admiral, I mean. I don't know if I said that, those other two things, but he's a Vice Commander. Vice Admiral. But he's beaten 2 of the 3 Admirals that are currently around and can still do it. But also he does the same missions as like a basic Admiral does, so yeah. So people like no one even knows Dragon's rank because like said, oh, he's an admiral. Oh no, he's a vice admiral. No, he's Sengoku's assistant because he's with Sengoku a lot. But yeah. So the illustrations in this story aren't going to be as prevalent. So yeah, because I'm gonna take this story on like my own way. I don't care about the main story right now. It's going to be completely different. So there's no such thing as the Revolutionary Army. So eventually we move on to around 4 or 5 months later, after Luffy met Shanks, Luffy's running through the forest with Garp chasing him, Ace, and Sabo, holding a gigantic, basically just tree stump with the bandits chasing them, holding swords. Eventually Dawn caught up to Ace and Luffy, but Luffy just spun around, yelling Gomu Gomu no, Buzzsaw, Gomu Gomu no axe, slamming his foot down on Dawn's head so hard that she got knocked out. Ace spun around, holding basically just a very thin stick, but Mongo would appear from Ace, only for Ace to replay rapidly, like smack him across the face with it. He just yelled in pain, holding his face as bright red and stinging. Sabo was holding a pipe until he spun around, knocking Dogger right across the jaw with it, knocking him out. As they ran through the Great Terminal, the bandits began chasing down Ace, Sabo, and Luffy just for training. But Dada, Mongo, and Dogger got up, and that's now beating up Ace, Luffy, and Sabo. But they keep failing. Luffy ends up beating up Dodon, and Ace ends up beating up Mangra, and Sabo ends up beating up Dogra. While Garp ended up catching them, and catching all 3 of them, beating them up himself. So, yeah. But eventually, well, we move on to when Sabo's dad tried to get him back. Sabo's dad would basically have guards and Luffy crew surround them until they realize that Garp is there. Luffy and crew says, nope, we're out, as they just put down Ace and Sabo, and Luffy. Ace and Luffy. Sabo's dad actually question why they're leaving, until Luffy says, we're not messing with Garp. We're the name Garp. Sabo's dad says, that's Garp, the legendary pirate. Garp ended holding the tree log, slowing it down from Sabo's dad, telling him to step off. And father said, come on, guards, let's go. And they just walk back in the kingdom with all of them shitting bricks. You can smell it, because you can smell it. You smell it from where Garp was standing, and he's almost a quarter mile away. But yeah. Sabo ends up thanking Garp, and Sabo then says he has a new goal around a day later, saying he wants to make sure that people like his dad don't exist. This one Garp says douchebags. Luffy says idiot, says jackasses, and they kind of get like different insults. Sabo says yes, but no. He says that's royalty. This stuff shouldn't exist. Everyone should be fair. With this does actually confuse them all, but Sabo says that he wants to do it all single-handedly. He wants the people to benefit from his experiences. This is as a royal, and he wants to basically make sure it never happens again. We understand where he's coming from. That doesn't at all, but he doesn't know how Sabo feels a lot because he's Sabo's brother. So yeah, with this we move on to roughly about around when Luffy is around 12. Luffy's 12, with him being around 2 years older. He's 5 years older than Luffy, so Luffy is 12, Ace is 17. Sabo would be 15. At this point, well, basically, Ace is the only one that actually picked up Haki because Garp began teaching it to him specifically, to him being the oldest one. He picked up observation only, so yeah. Sabo actually picked up 2 to him just being a prodigy, so yeah. Luffy didn't pick up any Haki as he's focusing on his Zelford abilities. None of them can actually help Luffy with that, so it's kind of just him training solo a lot of the time. When it comes to Devil Fruit training, but him physical training, well, Garp kind of taught them all that they need to be a pirate. If he started trying to enroll in a crew, he does say like it took him a long time to find his own crew, who would not be important actually. Garp's crew's kind of irrelevant in this one. They're all kind of just old men who may have died or are too old to move. But basically, he taught them how to sail, taught them how to navigate maps, taught them just how to navigate in general. Taught them how to treat bullet wounds, stab wounds, illnesses, burn wounds. Taught them. Did he teach them how to play any instruments? I don't think Garp can play any instruments. I taught them how to cook. Taught them like basic things that are needed on a pirate ship, at least, just in case they can't fill up a certain role. So yeah. So this one, Luffy's also pretty intelligent. So yeah. But initially, Ace does leave first, leaving 2 years for Luffy and Luffy and Sabo to train together. Garp says that once Ace left, he's probably going to leave on his own to head somewhere special. They ask where. Garp says he doesn't know. He doesn't know yet. Elbaf, Laughtail, or Taboti. One of the two. Now, there's draw like Ace is still there at this point, but he says that he's doing this once Ace leaves. There's drops that he would casually sail to Elbaf or Laughtail like it's no big deal. Garp says it's not. I have seen the One Piece. Luffy's jaw drops again, and Garp says, probably Saboti. I'm gonna go there. We're really hanging out there, and he's fun. Garp ends up leaving after Ace does, and yeah. Ace does find the Mare no Mi, but you guys actually stopped on an island just for the hell of it. Also, because they learned how to be decent shipwrights, Ace actually had a bigger dinghy that could store a lot of food. Not a big dinghy, not a dinghy. It's actually like a moderate-sized fishing boat, like an average-sized one. So Ace has like one of those that has a decent amount of food on it. So yeah, but initially, he's feeling like picking fruit just because he's making his own breakfast. Ended up eating a random because it looked weird, and he forgot why it looked weird, so he realized it was a devil fruit halfway through a bite. But yeah, so eventually he sent him on the island training how to use the devil fruit. So Ace wandered a few islands in the East Blue before he found the same crew, and then eventually left. He met Whitebeard a bit earlier, but it's just through sheer coincidence. Also, with how Ace is, he also doesn't know none of fight Whitebeard. So yeah. Moving on to Sabo leaving. Sabo isn't leaving to be a pirate; he's leaving to stop nobles. Before he did that, though, he burned up most of the Goa Kingdom. Like, he lit it on fire. So it was basically, it's like a message. Like, he basically made a message in gasoline telling them that the royals are shit, and then lit it on fire. And then the whole thing just sparked up in flames that burned down like 88% of the Goa Kingdom. So the Goa Kingdom resorted actually like just letting in residents of the Great Terminal just to help rebuild, and they had to live there, and that can live there too. So yeah, we move on to Luffy leaving eventually. When he leaves on a fishing boat too. And he leaves. He has a few things on board like food, money, a lot of stuff. Plus Luffy and Sabo were all taught how to use bows, not bows, but bows, staffs, swords, guns, yeah. So Luffy actually has a first stop being Start Village. Because he actually heard about her, like, he remembers that Yasop asked him actually, he remembers Yasop talking about his son in Start Village, and actually asked Luffy to get him if he ever decides to become a pirate. Luffy agreed and found Usopp. This one, Usopp actually isn't, like, too much of a liar, but says he's a brave warrior, and actually proves to be decently powerful, to the point where Kuro would even, like, be scared of fighting Usopp in a head-on fight. So Usopp's the guy pick up, like, logs that he chops down, just, like use them as, like, workout material. Usopp doesn't train crazy like Zoro, but does train a decent amount. That's where his physique is pretty impressive. And this Usopp is actually comparable to possibly the whole East Blue Saga Luffy. So that's how strong he is. But the thing is, he has a fear going to sea all alone because he does know he can't bring kids along. This is making him pretty nervous because he doesn't know how to talk to people that well, besides the kids, because he's kind of childish too. He's a boat arrive, and eventually asks for Usopp. Like the same fashion that Shanks asked for Yasop, Luffy ends up coming to a Straw Hat saying, "Here, the good marksman here wasn't some good strong marksman by the name of Usopp lived here." Usopp happened to beat the kids at the shore, training them, and he says, "Yeah, that's me. What about it?" Luffy ended up holding a small picture of him, and Usopp asks where he got that, and Luffy says, "Your father gave it to me. He told me that when I become a pirate, you should be my first mate." So it was shocking. So my dad told you to help me become a pirate. He goes, Luffy nodding, "Yep." What she does, she makes Usopp question, like, "If that's true, what's my dad's name?" He goes, "Yeah, Usopp." That Usopp says, "What color is his hair?" He says, "Black turned blonde." And Usopp then says, "Wait, it turned blonde, really?" Luffy nodding, "Yep." Usopp says, "What's his hairstyle?" Luffy says, "Afro." And immediately Usopp says, "You're telling the truth, huh?" So Usopp sat down, kind of nervous, and everyone kind of asked why he's nervous, if he's like a brave warrior, supposedly. Usopp says, "I'm scared of the ocean, I'm scared of boats." And immediately, their jaws dropped, even Luffy's. He says, "How are you a brave warrior if you're scared of the boats?" Usopp says, "No, don't worry about that." So yeah. Honestly, it's just Usopp tried to set sail once, and got swept up in a giant wave that he had to sail out in the middle of a storm because he was a dumb kid and got swept up to the point where he almost drowned. So yeah, so he almost drowned, and the person that saved him was Kuro, and Kuro became pretty famous in the village for saving Usopp. Even though Usopp knows that Kuro didn't kill him, Kuro was like cursing at Usopp as he saved him, so he knows that Kuro's a bad guy. So yeah. But we move on to roughly when Luffy Luffy actually does bring, like, I guess, like, just, well, not Luffy. Usopp brings Luffy to the village to talk to him for a bit. And actually, they kind of get to know each other. Just, like, I understand what they do in canon. There's just no Nami or Zoro, just Luffy and Usopp and 3 kids. But eventually, they do spy on Kuro's conversation. And let's fast forward that a bit. We spy on this conversation. Luffy actually did call him a scumbag. He didn't fall off the rock as he almost did, but just disappeared and was actually high in the air. Kuro looked up, not being able to see a thing, but how high Luffy was in the air, he thought it was a weird bird. But Usopp didn't know that Kuro couldn't see Luffy, so he just jumped down and punched Kuro right in the face. He was sliding back a bit, holding his nose, saying, "What the hell just hit me? A sledgehammer or something?" He goes, "No, it's the great Usopp's fist." And Luffy landed around Kuro's head, saying, "And this is the great Luffy's feet." He's up with Kuro's head as Kuro's just kind of passed out. And nervous, so Luffy just pulled out a pistol. And Drongo says, "You don't have the balls to shoot me. You're just a little kid." Luffy says, "Oh, I plan to. Guns are meant for threatening people." So ever suddenly, Usopp see Luffy shoot the gun, and Drongo fall to the ground dead. Now, Garp only gave Luffy the lesson, like, guns aren't dangerous. The person holding it's dangerous. So they shouldn't be for threatening, they should be for usage only. So Luffy has, like his morality kind of different. Like, he has a problem killing people who don't deserve it. That's the only problem. Like, if you deserve to die, he has no problem killing you at all. No problem. He'll do it like in seconds. But when it comes to innocent people, like, oh yeah, they're not that good, but I don't think they deserve to die. He wouldn't approve of it. Like, he's like the kind of person like, like if Luffy's like the canonical Luffy's dead or alive bounty, he'd prefer it only being alive with the fact that Luffy isn't a bad person. Yeah, he's a pirate, and some pirates do deserve to die. A lot of them do, actually. But you're more of the alive kind of guy. So, yeah. So Luffy kind of has that since somewhere out. Like he's willing to kill people for it. He kill people if they deserve it, and Django was part of that majority that deserved it. And Kuro, Luffy actually threw Usopp the gun, telling Usopp, fire it. As Usopp's kind of nervous, saying, really have to kill him? So he says, nope, shoot him in the leg. Usopp's like, oh, that's easy. He'll up the gun to Kuro's leg, saying, how do I fire it? He jumped up, saying, this is something great, yes, I can't fire a damn gun. Usopp says, I can't do this, and he just stomps on Kuro's leg. Luffy yells, no, shoot the gun. He just teaches Usopp how to use a gun, and Usopp just shoots Kuro right in the broken leg. But eventually Kuro did wake up from the gunshot, just screaming in pain. But Luffy actually tells everyone what happened to Kuro, and well, everyone doesn't believe him until Usopp actually tells them what happened, and they believe Usopp more than Luffy. Because Usopp actually Kai's friend, openly Kai's friend. So yeah. So with Usopp being a bit more believable, actually protecting an island from a few scammers, like merchants or just merchants pretending to be pirates or that are like pirates. The village actually trusts Usopp a bit more than Kuro even, and well, they all believe Usopp. But he says that Luffy was one who beat him, and then his henchman was beaten by Luffy as well. So yeah. So with this, we move on to Luffy about to leave, but that's tells Usopp to get him a boat. Usopp gets nervous that actually Kaido would go out cheering on Usopp, telling him that he can't come back to the island until he becomes a brave warrior of the sea, worth the title of a warlord. Usopp is shocked, saying, really? You have to be out there that long? Kai says, yes. Then once you come back, we can get married. Usopp's just drops, saying, Luffy, help me on the boat. Leaving the figure Usopp by his nose, pulling on the boat, saying, alright then, let's go. With that, Luffy set sail, as Usopp would scream goodbye to the villagers, and the villagers will all say goodbye to Luffy and Usopp, while actually thanking them both for defeating Kuro and Django. Now, the next stop would be Orangetown. Now, they're at Orangetown, where there happens to be 3 pirate ships. One being Alvida's, one being Buggy's, one being the Black Cat Pirates. These pirate crews happen to arrive on different sides of the island, engaged in just an all-out combat, and in the middle of town that chase away the villagers. Usopp arrives, seeing him go running, as there's a boy with pink hair beside her. The boy's running and screaming, saying, stop chasing me! And the woman yells, I'm not chasing you, you're chasing me! As Nami happened to be on the buggy ship, and then Kobe happened to be on Alvida's ship. But eventually they both bump in Luffy and Usopp respectively, and Usopp kind of looks how he does post-time skip actually. A lot more like that. Plus he does have his slingshot, but yeah. But also Luffy actually, during the meantime, actually did build Usopp a bigger slingshot, telling Usopp that this should help Usopp carrying more weight and firing off more things at once. Actually built Usopp Kabuto, but it's only made out of wood. So yeah. Usopp's okay with this, right? As long as it's easy to hold. So yeah. So with this, Usopp looks like this post time skip, but yeah. But we just see basically, Nami could think like Luffy and Usopp are both from Kuro's crew. So they haven't really met many members of the crew. But Luffy knows who they are, and they're shocked that Luffy doesn't know who they are, as they've been running around the whole island for days now. They say who they are, and Luffy says, "Oh, well, go hide on our boat. There shouldn't be anyone there. It's kind of like a small fishing boat. You run and hide there and seeing just a bit of food, no money, but who cares?" Nami and Kobe hide there, getting to know each other for a bit, and Luffy and Usopp Luffy looks at Usopp saying this whole madness. Suddenly they hear someone yell "Onigiri," slashing right at Luffy's head. Luffy to dodge and grab the man by the head, and then begin squeezing it full force. You know how Zoro squeezed one day? He said Luffy's doing that to him, and Zoro's just screaming in pain, holding his head. Luffy's going to try and pull Luffy's arm off, but Luffy's arm just kept stretching while Luffy's holding onto him still. Eventually, Buggy arrives as he heard his right-hand man screaming in pain, seeing Zoro being out-muscled, which was very unheard of. Luffy throws Zoro in the air, then Usopp jumped up with Luffy, just drop kicking Zoro through a building. So the ground coughing, as Zoro and Usopp are actually pretty close to powers. I'd put East Blue Zoro possibly on par as Luffy, or pretty close in power to him. So Usopp and Zoro are pretty close in power, but Usopp has actually the edge over him. And then Usopp then yells, saying he's the captain of the pirates. He's not losing these excuses like them. He runs forward with Luffy beside him, and they begin beating down every single member of Alvida's crew, the Kuro's crew, Buggy's crew, all left and right. Luffy and Buggy begin fighting all out, but Luffy's actually the only one landing hits. Buggy can't land a single one. Thanks Luffy doesn't have hockey, he just has really good instinct. Because with the time that Garp left, Luffy actually it's kind of in the middle of hockey training, but Sabo began teaching him a few basics, but Sabo wasn't as good of a teacher as Garp was. So Luffy only picked up the basics of which is enhancing all your instincts. So Luffy so far basically able to dodge all Buggy strikes, being really good hearing and then really good sense of smell. Really, that's kind of what it is, or just really good, like really advanced sense of touch as well. So Buggy's like waves out to touch a stranger hair, you're just able to narrowly dodge it. So yeah, kind of like that kind of thing is what he has. So he did beat up he did beat up a Buggy, and Buggy only got like a small scratch on Luffy. Zoro ended up getting up, holding his chest, as he sees Luffy and Usopp beating up the whole, basically every pirate crew there. He sees the Melvin brothers being beaten up, like just one of them was beaten by Luffy, one of them was beaten by Usopp. Luffy had beaten Buggy, and Usopp had beaten Alvida. I said this whole crew was defeated by one man. Like basically, Luffy handled half the Black Cat pirate crew and Buggy's whole crew. Then Usopp handled Alvida's crew and half the Black Cat crew. Zoro was all that's left of the people standing. Usopp stared down at Zoro, telling him to come at him, and Usopp and Zoro began fighting, just going all out. It was a hard fight, but Zoro ended up losing. So yeah. Zoro wakes up, buzzing that he's the last one left, and Usopp then says, everyone retreated once they woke up, and Buggy abandoned you. This made Zoro kind of upset, but saying, I'd expect that from a coward like him, honestly. Usopp taking off the bandana, rubbing his face. I mean, Kobe came out as he saw all the ships leaving, like 10-15 minutes ago. They come out asking what happened to the ships, and Luffy and Usopp just are showed covered in blood and bruises, while Zoro was just shown to be just waking up. But they asked Luffy and Zoro Luffy and Usopp, they beat up all the pirate crews there, and Luffy said, yeah. Nami asked who they are, and Luffy says he's trying out Luffy, and he's the future king of pirates. No, not Nami. Usopp then says he's Usopp, and he's the right-hand man of the Straw Pirates. Zoro ended up sighing as he actually has an idea. He's been hurt for around a year now. He stood up, and then put on bandana, saying he's Zoro, the newest recruit of the Straw Pirates. Luffy shocked, saying, "Can you tell us and ask you?" Zoro says, "Yeah, kinda." So with that, Luffy says, "Us three, we make the Straw Hat crew." And Nami does actually acknowledge that probably Arlong's could have done the same kind of feat as them, and she doesn't know how to scale Arlong, but he actually seemed really strong as like a whole force. If she does scale Luffy and Usopp together to Arlong, then Zoro still being around and awake, Luffy should probably be really strong too. So she thinks that these three combined may actually be able to beat Arlong. So just to use them to defeat Arlong, she joins them as well. Luffy can tell that Nami has different intentions. So, yeah, Luffy agreed to let Nami on board, and then Kobe actually asked them for a ride to Shelltown. They agreed, and then they had all blew to Shelltown. They dropped Kobe off there, as Kobe says he wanted to be a Marine, but, As they're walking around, they eventually do see, just two guys tied up to a post in the middle of town. One of them, obviously, having scurvy. Luffy can actually tell this. He actually demands oranges, as he gets two of them thrown at him, catches them both. He actually be, kind of squeezing them into Yosuke's mouth. Yosuke ends up thinking Luffy, questioning who he is, but Luffy says, just shut up, don't talk right now. And he runs over to Johnny, asks what happened, and Johnny tells him what happened, and the Marines did this to him. Luffy drops, asking if they're pirates or something, and listen to Yosuke's like, no, not Yosuke. Johnny's like, no, we're bounty hunters. Suddenly, a giant axe is thrown at Luffy, turning around and about to catch it, till Nami would jump in and catch it with an axe, and cut down one of the men in front of her, telling them, oh, this axe is really light. Despite the axe being her size, her exact height. So, yeah. Now, Morgan's a bit different, as he actually has more of a cybernetic hand. Morgan has a cybernetic hand alongside a giant axe that he just threw at Nami, but she caught it before jumping at Morgan and then hitting him right in the arm with it full force, almost cutting it off. With that, with the axe on Arlong's shoulder, sucking Morgan's shoulder, she spun around on the axe, kicking Morgan right across the jaw so hard that it actually broke. His middle jaw was kicked right off his face. Laid the ground unconscious. Well, came to Helmuppo, who was just punched in the face by Kobe as he pulled on me at gunpoint. But Kobe just punched him in the face, full force. But how much Usopp and Zoro train? Well, he actually did get a decent physical strength boost, and then with how weak Helmuppo is, Helmuppo was knocked out in one shot, so it didn't really matter at all. They actually want to fight the other Marines, so the Marines say, thank God, they're all beaten up. They suddenly actually arrest Morgan and arrest Helmuppo, throwing him in a cell, and untie Johnny and Yosuke, and taking down the giant post that they're kind of tied to. Ghost accused them in the infirmary of being treated, as all Marines had been apologizing profusely, that they were good people and they didn't want to do this to them. And basically say there's no problem. Just make sure that no one like that can run rampant again. The Marines are supposed to stop crime, not cause it. In order, they all just said they were too scared to fight against Morgan. He seemed to be too strong. But this one basically Kobe says he's not too strong. I'm telling you right now. No, all it takes is just a few bullets to put that man in the dirt. Probably like 5 bullets puts him in the dirt. Now with this, they actually just tell them that Kobe actually wasn't a pirate like them. He was just hitching a ride, but they should be leaving now to start the pirate crew. The Marines, actually in favor, say that they're going to give Kobe free lessons and free training, and he can become a Marine recruit. So Kobe actually appears to be in decent physical shape. It took them around 2-3 days to get there. But Kobe, just because just shown in training, he usually was just getting like a slightly decent body that's kind of average, despite him being kind of short. So he actually is promoted to seaman recruit, Ivan Chorboy. Well, Humpo is actually released and given the actually rank of Chorboy. So yeah. But Kobe also want to learn a bit of martial arts from Luffy, and he actually was able to use those to actually outmatch a few of the people above him. So yeah. So Kobe actually gets promoted after beating many people around him. Oh, alright. So after Kobe proved to actually be decently powerful, his rank was promoted to around a warrant officer. But it happens to be Dragon Ship that's stopped by the island to arrest Morgan, and Dragon happened to be wearing more of like just a cloak. You know, that's kind of just a blanket, a really big one that he made into a cloak for fun. Took it off, revealing his Marine outfit, then putting it on like a blanket. They realized it was a blanket. And suddenly, Morgan ends up slashing down and trying to cut down Dragon. Almost Dragon actually cuts the blade with like 2 fingers and then snapping it off, like snapping it clean off. Like he can cut like the axe with 2 fingers before cutting it. Actually, not axe, the regular sword. He broke it with 2 fingers before knocking out Morgan and arresting him. And she says he thinks Kobe's pretty impressive, so he should get on the boat. Kobe agreed, run on the boat. Thank you to all the Marines there. But at the same time, we go on to just, the Straw Hats, when they are at the Bratier. The Bratier, they happen to be giving Johnny Yosuke a ride somewhere, and they happen to be to the Bratier. They actually stopped by here before Shelltown, and they actually offered jobs. This need to turn in their most recent bounty. It's actually proved to be pretty decent at cooking fish. And catching fish, actually. They knew perfectly how to catch them and everything. So with their proficiencies in fish and other, just mainly sea life in general, they're actually even jobs as cooks, but also chore boys. So with these 2 jobs, they actually would make an average wage, and they agreed to these wages. So they walk in, basically just getting bowing Zeph, and saying they accept the jobs. But Zeph is kind of overflowed right now. But these crew actually ask them if they're pirates, and Luffy says, yeah, we are. They first want to see how strong they are, they actually told Sanji to fight them. Sanji can take on like any run-of-the-mill pirate, he knows this. Sanji began fighting against Luffy, only Luffy dodge all he attacks like it's nothing. Then Luffy suddenly actually blocking Sanji's kicks with just one leg. Before he actually kicked Sanji in the chest, so hard that Sanji did cough up blood and got knocked to the ground, being barely able to breathe. They ended up helping Sanji up. He's kind of just holding him up, telling Sanji to breathe slowly, and Sanji began being able to breathe again. Now with this, Zeph actually asked Luffy what's his role in the crew. He says he's a captain and so far the medic too. And with that, actually has to have a cooking because he kind of fills that role too. He also shows he's actually pretty decent cooking skills. He's a bit above average, but it's okay, I guess. And then Zoro says he's a swordsman. Usopp says he's vice captain. Then Nami says she's the navigator. So now Zeph realized something important. Sanji doesn't want to find the all blue, but also his ship's kind of overflowed with employees. He can have 1 extra, but not 2 extra. But he then tells Sanji he's fired. And he's kind of confused, so he's like, "What, is it because I lost? Come on, I'll train you harder." That's when Zeph says, "No, you're fired for not having the guts to go out and follow your dream on your own, like I told you to. From now on, you're joining the pirate crew. Boy, what's your name?" As he points at Luffy, he says, "I'm Luffy, captain of the Straw Hat Pirates." Zeph says, "From now on, you're part of the Straw Hat Pirate crew as their chef. Got it." Sanji's kind of a little confused, until Zeph ends up dropping out 2 guns at his feet, telling Sanji, "These are the 2 guns you used to threaten me. Those too many years ago to count. But these guns are how you're going to make the best pirate ever. Do you understand me?" Sanji began tearing up. Before picking up the guns, putting them away, telling Zeph he understands. Luffy was smiling at Sanji, telling him to give him a boat, and Sanji agreed. I just realized something. I forgot to give them the Mary. So halfway through, they get the Mary. Yeah, this is like Zeph said, like some pirates got beaten up and kicked away by Sanji, and they happen to have this ship, and they can take it. So they're taking the ship, redesigning it a bit with the help of other people and the people around, and they sail away with now having a proper Jolly Roger with the help of Usopp. Now with that, they actually head to actually Arlong Park, not even going near the village, just going to Arlong Park straight into it. And jumping down, you just pirates who can definitely beat Arlong now. Luffy jump down to Arlong. I want to go in for a punch, saying, this little weak brat. This time he hit Luffy, or he thought he hit Luffy. Whereas Luffy just dodged it. Looking at Arlong, he's saying, well, those are sharp. Before Luffy even says, how sharp are mine? He bites on Arlong's basically just neck, and Arlong screams in pain. It's questioning how a human has this much grip, has this much bite strength. Actually, that happens to Luffy's body, realizing that every ounce of it is basically just pure muscle. Luffy has little to no fat in his body at all. For all this, Luffy Luffy's mouth opening off of him. Since it's been picked up by Luffy, then suplexed. That's kind of what it is. So on suplex, he then slammed all around, on his back, on his face, over and over again before he's unconscious. His nose being basically just hanging on by a thread with blood pouring out of it, and then his mouth is just bleeding from every part of it, so he's losing a lot of blood rapidly. Luffy actually drop him before slamming his fist in Arlong's face as hard as he can, and everyone just heard the sound the skull being crushed under Luffy's fist. Luffy's body to compare it is like air and tide from the box. It's basically just every ounce of it is pure muscle. This is a very thin layer of fat guy attached as defense, but either way, with how much muscle is in it, his body is basically undefeatable. You stab him and then no blood would come out. That's kind of how it is. Because with how much Garp trained them, Luffy's body is pretty bulky. I'd say about as bulky as Zoro is post time skip. So around that level of body build, around that exact same build. So Luffy having different diet, different weights of training, different ways of acting. His body's just a lot like post time skip. Zoro's just no hockey at all, and then that's kind of really it. No hockey. I almost said no skill with the sword, but Luffy's pretty average with the sword. Let me pause real quick. So I almost said that Luffy wasn't as good as really something. So I forgot what I was gonna say. Okay, so he's about as built as Zoro is. Post time skip, just without the hockey or the green hair or the clothes. But basically, with a sword, he's just about. He uses kendo mainly, and he's about a third or fifth, being a fourth and fifth dan or dan with the sword. What do you want to say? A fourth or fifth dan is what I'm saying. He's on that level, so he's pretty impressive with a sword. Because he mainly uses kendo and iaido. So eventually with this, Luffy and all of them leave after celebrating with the villagers because the fisherman had left. But Sanji would also be able to defeat Karubi a bit faster by actually shooting him in the head and killing him. A few kicks do the trick, but then once Karubi started attacking him in the water, Sanji ends up pulling out a pistol before just doing a quick 6 shots. Not pistol, but a 6 shooter. Or doing those typical just westerns with quick 6 shots. He does 6 of them right in Karubi's head and killing him before he just falls in the water and swims out pretty easily. Karubi's just floating there dead. Zoro had actually beaten Hachi pretty easily, despite Zoro not being injured at all. So yeah. So I'm gonna have the battle take place elsewhere, as I think it'd be more impressive somewhere else. We go on to basically the Straw Hats, basically stopping at Log Town as their last stop before they're about to leave. Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Usopp, the whole East Blue crew is there. As they're about to leave Log Town before Smoker would attack them, they're actually able to block one of the attacks from Smoker by actually using his forearm. But realize he feels a lot weaker and almost falls to his knees. But he's probably Sea Stone and then yelling he can't fight Smoker. Smoker actually impressed that Luffy identified this as Sea Stone. Before Luffy was smirking, saying, "Gotcha." Luffy's leg suddenly just kind of fall from under Luffy, searching around. then going above Smoker, grabbing his jute, and then pulling it back in Luffy's hands before he hits Smoker across the face with a seastone tip, knocking him out cold. Luffy drops it, walking away, saying, "Geez, you're too easy to beat." He walks away, and while Smoker's just there unconscious, everyone realizes that Smoker was just outsmarted. Luffy down on the boats, everyone's running to the boat, being chased by Marines. Zoro's being chased by Buggy, as Buggy would yell, get back here, you damn traitor." Zoro yells, saying, "You're the traitor, you jerk." So, yeah. So eventually, once, Zoro got on the boat, suddenly, Zoro sees someone in the distance before actually looking at Buggy, and he actually asks Luffy if they can fight Buggy's crew real quick. Luffy agreed. He actually looks at the man in the distance, doesn't know who he is, but Zoro knows something about him. Luffy told everyone that they're going to fight the crew, and they agreed. With that, they beat down all of Alvida's crew, the remaining members of the Black Hat Pirates, and Buggy. By the time all three crews are beaten up, Mihawk would arrive on the island, as Zoro actually questions Mihawk, why is someone so strong in the East Blue? Mihawk says he's chasing those crews, pointing at just this one big pirate crew actually went over Reverse Mountain and only to head back in. When they're about to head over something, they didn't go over, but they're about to head in there before they met Mihawk. They're kind of jerks to him. He'd be kind of rob them and everything before he beat them up, and then they retreated to Logtown. He wanted to hunt them down because he's bored. Pause. But eventually we do see probably just Zoro fighting Mihawk, and it goes the same way as in canon. Zoro still loses to Mihawk, but he does vow actually never lose. He says he won't lose again until his captain becomes the king of the pirates. Well, Zoro gets back on the boat, being treated by Luffy and a few doctors. The Smoker had watched the fight, actually being kind of distracted how strong the Straw crew seemed to be. But out of actually respect for them, actually does tell them just help them treat Zoro's wounds. So Luffy's bounty at this point is around 45 million, not 30. Luffy's at 45 million, Usopp is at 20 million, and Nami happens to be at 5th. So Luffy at 45 million, Usopp's at 28 million, Nami happens to be at 15 million. Zoro and Sanji do not have bounties yet. So yeah. So Zoro gets all those wounds treated, kind of just professionally, but also by Luffy happens to be in level of an average doctor. So yeah. But eventually, all the doctors leave, and Smoker gives Luffy 10 minutes to get out of the sight of the log town, and they leave. Then over his mountain, they meet Crocus. Goes pretty much as in canon. A lot of the dogs are pretty different. It's just Luffy doesn't fight Zoro on Whiskey Peak. But also when they meet Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine. No, Mr. 5, Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine. Luffy has actually just jump and one punch him just into the dirt full force. So, yeah. Just into the dirt as hard as he can and knocked him out immediately. He didn't care about he was tanking at all. He just knocked him out in one punch. Well, Valentine just got basically just almost cut in half by Nami, and she gets an axe just right to the back. So, yeah. They leave, and then Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine are basically just out of commission for almost the rest of their lives. They get to Little Garden, where they would end up meeting Mr. 3, Dorian, Broggy, and Miss Golden Week. Luffy doesn't get painted on everything, but he actually can identify these symbols are supposed to be hypnosis. I guess it's did Luffy betray us? Is he under possession of someone else's devil fruit? Luffy's able to gain control briefly, yelling, "No, it's hypnosis!" Before he ended up basically being pulled back into the whole hypnosis thing. Ends up immediately can see Miss Valentine before he pulls out a small slingshot, thinking of her as a little kid, not as a 16-year-old. He fires basically just kind of just I'd say like a Tabasco star. Where he aimed to hit her kind of like on the bridge of her nose, where some of it went to her mouth, but a lot of it in the eyes. Now yelling in pain before Zoro ends up jumping in, and he's basically cutting off Luffy's shirt, and then just falls to the ground. And Luffy is now kind of shirtless until Alabasta. Until Drum Island. But yeah. Also, Vivi is with them at this point still, so yeah. So, yeah. Luffy's shirt is off, and now he's not under any hypnosis or anything. Miss Golden Week is eventually screaming in pain with Tabasco in her eyes. But initially, Luffy ends up walking over to her before just doing just tapping her head lightly in a certain spot before she just passes out from that. But suddenly Luffy ends up pulling her out of the way. Suddenly a giant white face will slam into the ground. Luffy looks at it as he sees Mr. 3 walking around, and Mr. 3 is doing some attacks, but Luffy had noticed one thing. He looks like a candle and assumes this is all a wax-based devil fruit, or it's just all made of genuine wax. Before he actually tells Sanji, we just tell Sanji, shoot it. And Sanji began shooting it before he actually told Usopp, use that star. So he actually threw a bigger star to Usopp. The star is basically just a miniature cannonball. So Usopp basically kind of fired it right at basically Mr. 3's wax boxer as it hit it, and actually kind of blew one of the arms off. Mr. 3 ended up kind of just being scared until suddenly Usopp would jump up before aiming just down the iron boxer, saying Firebird Star. When he shoots it, as the whole wax would burst into flames, Mr. 3 would run out being caught on fire before he jumps in the ocean and forgetting he can't swim. We were stumbling him back up, and he just threw Mr. 3 into a tree so hard that it knocked him out. Well, Mr. 3's wax boxers burned down. But with that, Luffy suggested that they should get rid of Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week. They tied them all to a giant tree before kicking it out to sea. And they kind of just let them sail. With that, they get on their boat back on the Mary, going all the way back to Drum Island. Pause. Where was I? Zoro gets fixed up by the doctors on Logtown. Yeah. Right, so they get to they leave. They leave Little Garden and Drum Island. The arc is actually pretty much the same. It's pretty much exactly the same thing. But Chopper in this one actually a bit older, just to fit his more original design. He looks like a grown man. So Chopper would be fully grown or appear fully grown. Let me check how old. Alright, so at this point, Chopper kind of reached maturity already. Still, his Delphi didn't really hold him back at all, because I assume that's why he's so small for reindeer. His Delphi probably held him back a bit. Actually means Chopper actually ate the Delphi a bit earlier. Not early, I mean later. Chopper is actually around this one. He's actually the same age as Zoro. So he'd be 19 at this point. He ate his Dole Fruit when he was around 17. So he was on Luffy's age when he ate the Dole Fruit. Clear around 17. And actually, he's recently developing Rumble Balls. Recently developing them. So far, he hasn't discovered Monster Point, but does actually worry of eating too much. It may actually have him overdose. So yeah, he doesn't really eat the Devil Fruits. Not Devil Fruits, I mean, eat the Rumble Balls. He does enough, he does 3 points, which would be actually, arm point, jump point, and some other points. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has a genius point where it's just his intelligence boosted up, or that point. He has that point. But this one, Chopper just joins and he's a bit older. So when he does walk, he's the same height as Nami. So yeah. So with this, they eventually had Alabasta. They had Alabasta. That arc honestly isn't much different. It's just when the first time Luffy fights Crocodile, he can tell that the weakness. He does tell the Crocodile's stand and identifies this as Crocodile's weakness is probably water. Luffy can identify he is another possible weakness, but Ace isn't with them right now. He's met Ace and Alabasta already. So Ace isn't with him, so Ace can't bring the heat. But hey, look, gets other things. Luffy basically ends up filling Crocodile's face. Everyone says, that's a childish trick. For Luffy basically just hold out one finger before it just extends at insane speed, hitting Crocodile basically right in the wet spot. It's kind of right in Crocodile's nose. Luffy just kind of broke Crocodile's nose with that insane speed. Crocodile jumps back on his nose. It was bleeding heavily. Then suddenly Luffy ends up grabbing just a water bottle. Then actually asking for someone else's. So throw it to Luffy before Luffy catches them both by the string. Then actually slamming it in Crocodile's face, and then slams his face to Crocodile's face as hard as he can, knocking him out. Well, he tells them all head along. He's gonna head into Alabasta and turn him into the Marines. So Luffy basically zooms as fast as he can, and before Crocodile woke up, he turns Crocodile into Smoker. Smoker asks what Luffy did to him before Luffy says that he's the one driving the country into the dirt. Smoker would actually nod before he actually tells Sashi run to the boat, run to the ship, and grab the seastone handcuffs. She does just that, turning not that long after actually. The ship wasn't too far away. She gives him the seastone handcuffs, and he arrests Crocodile. So Yeah, so after this, we can move on to, like, probably just, I don't know yet. Probably I'll say, hmm, hmm, probably just Jai would be the next arc, but Luffy did introduce everyone to Ace, which wasn't much different, just Ace's much older brother. Also, Ace shows he can actually use the Dolphin pretty well, as he's had it for roughly about, he got it when Luffy was 12 in this one. He said his Dolphin for around 5-6 years. Like 5 going 6 years. Which it could mean that Ace could have had like the potential to awaken its fruit a bit earlier. So yeah. So with this, we move on to roughly about Jaya. That arc is pretty similar up until he gets until he gets to Skypiea. Just when Nami told him don't cause trouble, Luffy says we won't cause trouble unless someone causes it for us, and we have to stop it. So when Bellamy began like trying to beat up Luffy beat him up in the middle of a bar with everyone just watching Luffy do it. So the crocodile was just beaten half to death. Not crocodile, I mean Bellamy used to beaten half to death in the middle of the bar by Luffy. So as we just jump into Skypiea, Luffy in this arc actually discovered Gear second against his first fight against Enel. Mainly around the time that Luffy would end up having the whole like metal ball strapped to his arm. Luffy doesn't know how much this weighs him down. This means that he ends to actually try a new technique he learned while he was training. Luffy began panting before he ends up going Gear second, ends up being full speed ahead, and a rubber ball with the heat beating off Luffy's body means burning him free. The heat being kind of melting him free. It's actually burning Luffy's body with the rubber ball being like just melting. But he's able to free his arm for one last punch, nailing Enel right in the face. With that last punch nailing Enel right in the face, that knocked him out, and well, so far after this, the rest of the arc goes the same, but Luffy does identify that's not a cannon that's being aimed at them before they leave, it's just a giant piece of gold. This they do get that from Skypians. Luffy ends up kind of holding it the whole time. But they're heading towards the ground, they eventually would land like right near the whole like I guess So as we basically just go down to like the whole forgot the G4 arc. That was when we meet Captain John. But then they actually like arrive. Well, they do actually get swarmed by action Marines, but Luffy refuses to sit back down, beating up all the Marines around him. And they eventually sail away with Luffy being the victor by using that one giant piece of gold to beat them all down. So we just arrived back to pause. Alright, so yeah, and we move on to basically just Water 7. Then after Water 7, we just go on to them who just, I guess, they're actually really too different, besides Usopp not being beaten up. When they try to beat him up, he just beats them all up by himself, but it does take a long time for him to do it. Here, he returns to the ship with the money, but he's covered in blood and bruises. Did this Usopp like still being pretty close in power to canonical East Blue Luffy? I said East Blue, not any other arc. That's really just it. He's on level like East Blue Luffy, and that's just about all he gets. I mean, maybe like a bit early Alabasta canonical Luffy. Just yeah. Yeah, we can just go on to them fighting against like. Most important thing probably CP9 because canonical Luffy mops Frankie. One canonical Luffy, canonical Luffy, and this Luffy mop Frankie pretty easily. So yeah, we can just go to we can just go on to probably just Ennie's lobby. Because they still did get Robin on their crew. They still did. That wasn't really too much of a difference. So as they go on into Ennie's lobby, they're telling there Sanji does fight against multiple members of like CP9. But eventually when Luffy does get too close, Luffy kind of thought Sanji was like only a hand-to-hand combatant until Sanji would quickly draw a pistol, shooting Luffy right in his leg and right through his hand. And Sanji then spun around. Sanji actually does use one martial art with his hands. He uses Kale Arnis. And he actually upgraded his pistols, as these pistols will kind of enhanced just out of by a gunsmith. These 6 series turned into basically 44 magnums, and he'd been using them right against kind of using Kale Arnis to just block around Lucci. But actually, once Bluno got too close, Sanji could actually tell this by actually a reflection shooting Bluno, we see right in the neck. Zoro fell back and actually needing to be tended to. Lucci's barely able to move properly at this point. Sanji actually kicked his leg so hard that his leg broke. Before he spun around, Lucci right in the neck like the barrel of a gun so hard that it made him just pass out from not being able to breathe. Sanji then shot down the rest of CP9 before passing out in the middle of the train car. But yeah. Now, Robin is actually eventually able to crawl over to the knocked out Lucci and then basically uncuff herself before she uncuffs Frankie too. But she actually picked up Sanji before climbing onto the top of the boat with Frankie's help. They want to go into the edge of the boat before Frank. Well, no, they don't run to the edge, but they stop the train before they run to the edge of it. They jump right on to the train of the Straws before stopping it in the tracks. Before it collides to the basically puffing Tom. Okay. But that's when Frankie said the ship doesn't have any use, that they should leave now. Frankie basically being pushing the train over off the tracks. In the meantime, Blue Note actually is able to use the door fruits as he woke up, get everyone off the island, off the boat, and they arrive on Ennie's lobby. They're actually able to get the train to turn around somehow, and they leave. So as they leave, they eventually do arrive back at Water 7, only to be met by dozens of Marines. But they go a bit slowly, just actually to make sure they want to have Marines follow them. They do, but don't. In case some Marines are following them, they can actually stop the train a bit easier and just fight them. But the Marines kind of just wanted to meet them at Water 7. They're at Water 7, they're at the dock where the Mary is, only seeing it being burnt to the ground. Good thing they got all their stuff off of it because they can't sail on it, but they still do being crying about it. Luffy just began scoffing, calling the Marines cold-hearted bastards. Before he then yelled full speed ahead, let's attack them. The Law joined in, and they began beating down every single one of the Marines, so Sanji can't participate because he fought all of CP9 and lost. Not lost, but it's kind of like a draw mainly. His final fight was against Jabra, who eventually was able to get in a good kick on him. Sanji just shot him right in the face, so, yeah. Nami picked up her axe, Usopp picked up Kabuto. Then she put on a mask, saying that this mask gives him more courage than he ever had before. Zoro began spinning his blades, and they fight against everyone, all the Marines there. Zoro ends up still losing Ibashiri. Before the whole blade decayed, he stabbed Shu right in the chest with it, the remainders of it, and it wasn't a deep cut, or a deep stab, but it was a slight cut because the blade was decaying. But still, Shu was knocked out. Shanguru within his Zoro back head with a wheel. Zoro didn't care, just went around backhanding and Shanguru into the dirt full force. But we move on after this to about just them leaving to meet Brook. And honestly, I don't see much of the Thriller Bark arc changing. Only thing is, I could probably see Chopper beating basically beating Hogback to death or half to death. I can see him doing that. This is the only difference I can see. But also with the level of some Straw Hats in power, they could probably beat Oars himself. But also Luffy isn't getting Shadow Stolen. Luffy wouldn't get Shadow Stolen, and probably Sanji wouldn't either. But also Zoro is actually able to beat Ryuma a bit easier with his bit stronger power. So yeah, I think the person that's very consistent in power is probably just Zoro. Zoro's the only one that's very consistent in his power. Chopper's a bit stronger, Usopp's a bit stronger, Zoro's the most consistent. So yeah. That's all I can really give it. So a lot of this arc pretty much goes the same way. Honestly, just Luffy doesn't get Shadow Stolen, and Moria fights at the 1,000 Shadow form a bit earlier. But when Luffy says he'll fight against Moria himself, he'll fight against let's say Moria ends up stealing Absalom Shadow to be used in Oars. So yeah, but it doesn't work out too well. So yeah, but in this part, Luffy was actually able to beat 1,000 Shadow Moria by himself without Nightmare Luffy. And the Trust themselves were actually able to take down a weaker Oars. That they leave with Brook as a newest member, and then Zoro ended up getting Shusui. They arrive at Water 7. They arrive at Sabaody, where they'd be met by Garp. And they'll start to see that Garp is Luffy's grandpa, and Garp's a legendary pirate, but then also Rayleigh's there with them. Rayleigh isn't being sold because the moment they tried to sell Rayleigh, Garp beat them all up. So, yeah. Garp's kind of just getting a free room at Shaki's bar. So, yeah. On the addition, he does chores around the place. So yeah. But at this point, not much would honestly change for this arc besides like Kizaru arriving. Kizaru arrives, Garp would not fighting him, but Garp kind of got lazy and plateaued to like Rayleigh level. Like he's exactly as strong as Rayleigh is. These two combined are actually able to beat Kizaru, but yeah, basically it was like it. Just Garp being lazy was actually able to like suit down a bit, but still be as strong as Rayleigh. Yeah, Garp being dumbed down as Rayleigh's level. That's honestly what it is. But those two combined beat Kizaru. Then we came to Kuma. That kind of went the same way. But Garp ended up basically hearing Kuma basically say, if you're not going to tempt him, no one's going to get hurt. They're all being sent flying away, but they'll be in a safe place. Garp is a bit nervous before punching Kuma into the dirt as hard as he can, but still telling Kuma that this is the only reason he use hockey is just because Draken sent him. And with this, they all land at the same places, and yeah. Not to go over one big difference about Frankie. Frankie in this one kind of has like a more slim appearance, but then like if you Google Frankie's original design, he looks like that, just less cracked out. But one thing is, Frankie's also a bit like just more buff, just not like as buff as he canonically is. But then he presses a button where he's the same builds, like the same kind of build as like Frankie does not has many abilities. It's like a whole Iron Man suit thing. He presses his chest, suddenly just morphs into this big buff version of himself. So yeah. All that's kind of compressed in this tiny body. Tiny but lanky body. Pause. Okay, so I'm probably getting this part here because it's already over an hour. But we're in this part before we get into any of the Straw Hats that are in the time skip right now. Alright, adios. Not in the time skip, but before Marineford begins. Adios.